All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Your Honor, can you hear us?
I can. Mr. Bat, you're not on camera.
There he is.
Your Honor, to sort out the document issue, we thought we would put my colleague, Mr. Anderson, on to explain that document, if that would be helpful to you.
Okay, well, have the parties reached some sort of agreement as to whether what Exhibit 118 consists of? Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, are you in the same room with each other? Because that's why we're getting feedback.
Apologies for that. So, Your Honor, what has been admitted as Exhibit 118 is a set of excerpts from the journals of Thoreau.
Mhm.
Originally, the town proposed a more limited set as their contested Exhibit E. The defendants supplemented with excerpts of their own in order to reach a compromise and withdraw their objection. So Exhibit 118 is the full set, including excerpts proposed by both the town and the defendants. The full set was provided to the court electronically on Monday evening and in paper Tuesday morning.
Okay,
And so it's the complete set that is the exhibit. It should be 35 total pages.
all right, so I'll dig up that email, which I'm sure has been forwarded to me, and we will mark, that will be the marked exhibit. Ms. St. Amand, do you have the correct document?
I do, and I forwarded it to Emily during the break.
Okay, so I'm always the last one to know anyway, so,
Your Honor,
yes.
Your Honor,
Ms. Goodhart.
I agree it's a 35 page, well, there's text on 35 pages. If there's any need to do so, I think we can submit an email that summarizes which pages are Bates numbered and which are not, because the Bates numbering is not sequential and some of the pages do not have Bates numbering, but we agree it's a 35 page document.
Okay, well, if I have the full document, yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't need you doing any more work than you've already done. So I think we're all set then, okay?
So, Your Honor, while we're addressing housekeeping matters related to exhibits, we also wanted to bring to your attention that with this witness, we're shortly going to use what's in the binder as town's contested Exhibit B. This document likewise, our understanding is the defendants have withdrawn their objection to it. The defendants were kind enough to add page numbers, tabs, sticky notes with page numbers to the document so that it'll be easier for everyone to follow as we use it during the testimony today.
This is Exhibit B as in boy?
B as in boy, correct.
Okay.
So the paper version is in your binder may not be the updated one. The updated one was delivered in paper this morning. An electronic copy was sent to Ms. Rosa and Ms. Foster last night.
Okay, this is the town annual reports of the officers of the town of Concord for various dates.
Correct. And the document you have is identical to the one we'll be using as an exhibit, except it does not have the tabbed page numbers on it, unless your clerk was very quick and updated your binder already.
Okay. All right. I think I got it. All right, anything else before we proceed?
Nothing from us, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Then, Mr. Bat, as soon as we get the seating straight, you may resume your inquiry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to wrap up with Ms. Highchurch, her previous testimony, for exhibits marked 118 through 121 at the end of your testimony before the break, did you rely on this collection of writings to form your opinion on the use of Estabrook Road in the 19th century?
Yes.
And how did you rely on these writings?
I relied on the descriptions of the physical appearance of Estabrook Road, and the author's descriptions of the surrounding flora and fauna.
Okay, was there any other reason you relied, or any other basis for your reliance on them?
I was looking to identify the types of use that Estabrook Road would have undergone during that period.
Thank you. So, Your Honor, okay, let me ask you what conclusions you drew based on that reliance.
Objection.
I believe she's already answered that question. What's the basis of your objection?
Asked and answered.
Yeah, I think she gave her opinion before we went to lunch, right?
Let's move on. I wanted to be sure the record reflected that. Your Honor, now the exhibit that we just spoke of, the road commissioner's reports, will go through, and this is quite voluminous.
Is this what was contested Exhibit B?
It was contested Exhibit B, and now it is admitted based on the withdrawal of the objections from defendant's counsel, is my understanding.
Now it's being offered without
Yes.
objection. All right. So it may be admitted as Exhibit 122. It's the road commissioner's reports.
Yes, Your Honor.
And just the formal title on the binder on the first page is Reports of Selectmen and Superintendent of Public Grounds, 1849 to 1871, and Road Commissioners, 1872 to 1908.
That's right, Your Honor. And the second label on that binder is where all the reports are from.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we had planned to move through several of these records to highlight where Estabrook Road is referenced. And if we get through 4 or 5, having shown Your Honor sort of how to find these references, we'll ask Your Honor if you want to proceed or if we should just allow this exhibit to come in with Your Honor being able to find the remainder of the references.
Okay. Well, you want to tell me how I find them? Is that
I will as we go through.
okay?
Ms. Heitert, if you could begin with me on what is essentially the second page after the binder and identify the date on this page.
The date on the page is 1872.
Thank you. And Your Honor, if you flip to what on the original document is page 38 of that report, Ms. Heitert, the tab renumbered is page 7.
All right, I'm on page 38, which is a list.
It is a list, Your Honor. Ms. Heitert, can you identify in that list the reference that to Estabrook Road?
Yes, if you go about 3/4 of a way down the page, the reference is A.D. Clark, work on Estabrook Road, $12.20.
I see that. Yep.
And moving to the very next page, it would be 43, and this is a new road commissioner's report. It's page 43 on the original and page 8 in the repaginated sequential pages.
I'm sorry, 40 what?
43 is the original page number.
Mm-hmm.
And Your Honor, this has a handwritten pencil date on it. This is from the original that was handwritten in some unknown time.
It says 1877, is that?
That's right.
Okay.
And Ms. Heiter, dropping down on that very page, is there Estabrook Road reference?
Yes, there is.
Please read it.
The Easterbrook Road that had been badly cut up by teeming wood over in the spring was repaired and graded to the town line.
Your Honor, moving through that report, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, we get to the next report. Once again, with a penciled date.
Sorry, page 52 would be where that starts.
That starts on original page 61 or 67, I believe. It's the next page over from what you're seeing as page 52.
If I may, if Your Honor is viewing this electronically, it should be page 15 of the PDF.
I think I'm looking at, oh, I see. It's okay, I'm having no trouble with the page numbers on the, in the book. So I'm on page 67.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Heitert, are you on also page 67 or what would be 15 on the paginated version of this?
Yes, I am.
And what is the date on this report?
The date on this report is 1888.
Then moving through 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, it would be, the original is page 74. It's electronic, it's rotated a bit. And the repaginated is page 19.
Is there a question before the witness?
I'm going to have her find that reference and provide it once people are on the page.
Understood.
Ms. Heitert, are you at that page?
I am.
And can you identify the reference to Estabrook Road on that page?
Yes. The discussion, if I may provide
Yes.
some context, the discussion is about placing new guide boards, or what we would call street signs, within Concord. And the reference regarding Estabrook Road begins about 2/3 of the way down the page, from Liberty Street near Mr. Joseph Derby's to Mr. Cyrus Clark's place, Estabrook Road.
Thank you. And the next page is another report for another year. Ms. Heitert, could you turn to that page and identify the date on that one?
The date is 1890.
Thank you. And the next page, which would be page 80 of that report, would you please identify that reference? In the middle of the first
Right.
full paragraph.
The sentence reads, they are Estabrook Road, the Old Marlborough Road, the road from the Powder Mill to the 9 Acre Corner, and several others.
And what does the "they" refer to?
As it is written in this document, they are, it is true, town roads as comparison, by way of comparison to presume to
Maybe
town roads.
Objection to
Maybe best
motion to
to-
strike.
What, I didn't even hear it, so. what
Well, the
was-
witness was characterizing what the document says.
All right, just read it, Ms. Hyder.
They are, it is true, town roads, but many of them are little better than paths in the grass or ruts through a piece of woodland. They are Estabrook Road, the Old Marlborough Road, the road from the Powder Mill to the 9 Acre Corner, and several others.
And could you just read a little bit more of that same sentence beyond the semicolon?
Certainly. And it always happens that after carting heavy loads of wood and timber over them in the fall and spring, they are left in a condition which is far from satisfactory. Your commissioners are then called upon to repair them in language sometimes mild and reasonable, but often the reverse of both.
Thank you.
Your Honor, before we go on, if I may,
Yeah,
I don't know what Your Honor's preferences with respect to the rule of completeness, but the witness was just asked to read an excerpt, and I would ask that she read the sentence right before it, the first part of that paragraph.
fine, she may do so.
Could you tell me, beginning
Yes.
with what?
Beginning
There are-
with, there are in town several miles.
There are in town several miles of what are called wood roads, which are seldom used for public travel. And with the exception of cutting the brush, very little has been done to them for years. Nor is it possible to put them in decent condition unless at an expense out of all proportion to the amount of travel over them or to the amount of taxable property to be found in the vicinity. They are, it is true, town roads, but many of them are very little better than paths in the grass or ruts through a piece of woodland. They are the Estabrook Road, the Old Marlborough Road, the road from the Powder Mill to 9 Acre Corner, and several others. Shall I continue?
I think you've covered it.
Read the whole paragraph.
Okay. And it always happens that after carting heavy loads of wood and timber over them in the fall and spring, they are left in a condition which is far from satisfactory. Your commissioners are then called upon to repair them in language, sometimes mild and reasonable, but often the reverse of both. If we have not been able at all times to comply with these requests, it is because we have had other and more important duties to attend to, and not from any unwillingness on our part. But it should be understood that there is a limit to the amount of work that can be accomplished by a given number of men and horses, that this department has been kept up to that limit during the past 4 years, and that any increase of duties will necessarily call for larger appropriations, which the town may grant or withhold as it sees fit.
Okay, so we can see that the tradition of complaining about the condition of roads in New England goes at least back to 1890.
Ms. Hyterd, if you could turn to the very next page on that report, which would be, it's actually double pages. So the original would be page 83. The repaginated number would be page 22. Are you there, Ms. Hyterd?
I am.
And can you identify the reference to Estabrook Road in that page?
The paragraph begins, the sums expended on other roads and streets were as follows. It then provides a number of roads, including Estabrook Road, $55.
Thank you. Moving to the next report, which is one more page on. It's the original is on a page 76, and the repaginated number is 25. Ms. Hyterd, are you there?
I am.
And what's the date of that report, if you can make it out?
1891.
Thank you. And let's see, moving 2 pages to what is in the original page 82, and the repaginated number is 28. Are you there, Ms. Hyder?
I am.
And could you identify the reference to Estabrook Road in that page?
Yes, the reference begins on the preceding page 81. The beginning of that paragraph begins, the amounts expended upon the various roads and streets during the past year were as follows. It then provides a list of the roads and the amount spent on them. On page 82, the paragraph lists Estabrook Road at $57.
Thank you, Ms. Hyder. I'm going to skip the next road commissioner's report because I can't even identify a pencil date for it. But moving on to, it's about 2 more pages beyond that, to a report of the road commissioners on a page 87. Are you there,
I am.
Your Honor?
Yep.
Can you identify the date on that report?
That date is 1895.
And can you find the reference to Estabrook Road on that page?
Yes, it's the bottom of the page under the subheading Roads and Bridges. Again, the paragraph begins, the amount appropriated for roads and bridges at the last annual meeting was $9,000, which has been expended on the several streets as follows. And Estabrook Road is included in that listing at $205.
Thank you. Moving on to the next page, which would be original page 97 and the repaginated number of 35. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
And
Sorry, what page? 97?
97, Your Honor?
All right, got it.
Ms. Seitert, the date on that commissioner's report?
1896.
And can you identify the reference to Estabrook Road on that page?
Yes. This again, the bottom of the first paragraph reads, the amount appropriated for roads and bridges was $8,500 and has been expended as follows. And Estabrook Road is listed at $100.
So, Your Honor, I just want to check in with you. We can continue through in this vein if you feel that it would be helpful to you.
Well,
Or-
this is all in evidence now. With the assent of the defendants, I would prefer at this point, to save time, that you provide me with a chalk. There's just a listing of the pages on which there is a reference to Estabrook Road in this exhibit. Is that all right with you, Ms. Goodhart?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, one thing we would add to that is just the specific years and the references.
Yeah, the reference should be
Yes.
page such and such, year, and then maybe a short clip of what's, Estabrook, $205, whatever it is, whatever it says. Okay? And maybe you can check with each other to make sure you're satisfied that it's an appropriate chalk. I understand the chalk will be taking everything out of context, but it's more in the nature of an index for my benefit of finding my way through the document.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Okay? And that can be done later on, post-trial. It's fine.
Certainly, Your Honor. Ms. Seitert, I would put that road commissioners, well, it may be still in your contested exhibits, and I want to bring up one more contested exhibit. That would be contested exhibit C. Do you have that, Ms. Seitert?
I do.
And this is a 2-page exhibit, the first page being a binder. Can you make out, although it's photographed in an odd way, can you make out what that binder says?
The binder reads Record Board of Selectmen 1891.
Thank you. We would like to offer this exhibit into evidence, Your Honor.
Objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Defendants object on several grounds. First, Mr. Bat hasn't laid an adequate foundation, but assuming he can do that, this document actually should have 3 parts to it, without which it cannot be understood. There is a petition from, presumably by this document, the New England Telephone and Telegraph Company. That petition was filed with the town. There then was a town meeting warrant that describes what the town meeting is actually voting on, which is also absent from this document and is not in any of the contested exhibits. And then there is only this vote. So we have 3 lines of text relative to something that has a number of other documents that are necessary to understand the significance of it. And that's our objection, Your Honor.
I don't even know what this document is yet. So Mr. Bat, why don't you tell me what it is I'm being asked to rule on here?
I do that through the witness, Your Honor.
Yeah, why don't you ask the witness some questions and then I'll have a little more of a basis for ruling on
Sure.
Mr. Furman's objection.
Just for the record, Your Honor, I'm Mr. Moore. No offense
Oh,
taken.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate the confusion. He's better looking than I am in any event.
All right, usually I have everybody's names up on the screen. That's the benefit of the Zoom. Now I don't. Okay. All right, I apologize for that.
Ms. Heitert, do you recognize this exhibit? Is this a document you've reviewed?
Yes, it is.
And what is this exhibit as far as you can, as far as you've determined?
The exhibit is dated October 2nd, 1899, and it is a vote approving a grant location, to grant a location for a telephone line to the New England Telephone and Telegraph Company on the Estabrook Road return Carlisle line to Liberty Street.
Well, Your Honor, just for the record,
Yeah,
I'm fine with the witness identifying what the document is, that it's a vote, but to the extent she testified to the content of the document, again, that much should be stricken on the grounds Mr. Moore has explained. He's objecting.
So, Your Honor, I think the witness, leaving aside the content of the vote, has identified this is from a record of the Board of Selectmen in a volume and a vote of that board. I'm not sure what other foundation
yeah.
try to lay on that.
I'm going to allow it in, and if the defendants wish to offer other contemporaneous records to give it more context, there, of course, for you to do so. But there doesn't seem to be any question as to its authenticity. It's a reference to a vote authorizing something having to do with Estabrook Road. I'm going to allow it in. So it may be marked as Exhibit 123.
And Ms. Seitert, you've already read from this clip. Could you just summarize what this vote is?
No summaries.
Okay. All right.
We've been through that objection, so let's.
Okay. Your Honor, that closes our direct examination of Ms. Heitert.
Okay. Who's doing this one?
I am, Your Honor. May we just take a couple of minutes to reset ourselves? We
course.
understand the court's on a schedule and we'll be.
Oh, that's
moving on.
fine. That's fine. We'll take 5 minutes. If that's sufficient.
That is, of course.
Okay, so we'll be back. Let's see, what time is it now? It's 2:30. We'll be back at 2:35.
Great.
Thank you, Your Honor.